It's a little after 6 a.m. I haven't opened this message yet because I have set a boundary. I don't check the family messaging app before 6 a.m. or after 10 p.m. Even though I get a text notification, I don't check it. So this morning, I already know what it's about. So I'm pressing play and I'm going to read it with you. Going to use my laptop because typically I will use my phone, but I'm currently recording on my phone. So let me go to this app. He actually created an event, and in the past, when he has created an event, it's an event on top of my event saying that he's not available for parenting time. So I got two messages, one that he created an event, and then another that said um, he created a conflict. There's a calendar conflict or something. So more than likely, he put in to say that he's not available for today. I would be very surprised if it was for another day and not today. But we're going to see together. I don't really know how to read this on here. I'm usually reading on my phone. So where's my events? Oh, okay. Well, to my surprise, he still get them today. So the arrangement is when he doesn't, when the kids don't have school on Wednesday, then he would drop them off at noon. Um, but this says have to work on Wednesday 6:25. We'll have to drop kids off 7:30 to 8 a.m. between 7:30 and 8 a.m. Okay. Well, I was wrong in what I was thinking. But I am, certainly excited that they still get to go because what a disappointment um, if they weren't able to go. So I'm very excited about that they still get to go. So I was wrong in that. But usually it is um, an event created to say I'm not going to get them, or it's at the last minute or parenting time doesn't work for me. I think what has happened, so he was all hell bent on getting them on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, and I think his days off have changed. They have changed at this point. And I don't think it's Tuesdays and Wednesdays because remember last week he sent the wife to pick the kids up from school at 4 because he was at work. And so he dropped them off at school, I guess, on his way to work. Um, so I'm guessing that his days off has changed. But, not my problem. Figure it out. I also have to figure it out. And until he can be respectful and, learn to communicate, then I'm not deviating from what's in black and white writing. I want to go off of that as much as possible and not give too much wiggle room. Only because he has tried to just be difficult. He has tried to be the most difficult person in my life. Like he's been like a real thorn in my side, and I've just been being the bigger person and continuing to do what's right, continuing to redirect. It's not my job to manage anyone's feelings, um, but you're their father and you need to make it work. I know, like I said, he's been all hell bent on um, dropping them off at school and picking them up from school and all of that. And then one of the questions he asked was like, well, what am I going to do next year when the kids are in different schools? My attorney said, you're going to figure it out. Figure it out just like me. And I don't know if I ever mentioned this to y'all, but he had the nerve to ask me, like, during the court case, he had the nerve to ask, can I move my children to a closer daycare to accommodate him because where they go now is too far for them, for him to drive. The magistrate said, absolutely not. I will not be asking her to change daycare centers because it doesn't work for you. It was, that whole court case was just a real, like, crap show. Crap show. It was crazy. Um, so the point of this was really because, you know, I guess the relatable part is, if have you ever like seen a message from your co-parent and your stomach just turns, right? Like, not because you're scared, but because every time you open the app, you know what's already what's already going on. Like, you already know that it's going to be some type of disappointment, or you expect that. Like, in my case, we went to court, we paid for lawyers, he asked for more time, and then you don't even use it. Like, what did we go through all of that for? So I'm just glad that today that's not what was happening, and that he is figuring it out. Like, I'm not going to be like, no, don't drop my kids off. Don't drop our kids off. If you're going through court, one of the things you really need to be careful of is don't say my kids, my kids, my kids. The court doesn't like that. So I've always made sure that when I'm referring to the kids, it's always the kids, the children, or our kids. Like, you don't want to make it like you the problem. So, yeah, just a little tip if you are, going through any type of court case. So let's see. What I say? Um, Set a boundary. Um, I will say at some point, like, now, I don't get upset or like afraid, um, when like I see a message in the app or something like that. But there was a time where it was just like my heart would just start beating really, really fast. Not that I was scared, but I guess because it was just still a trigger, and he was just trying to figure out just any way to upset me. And unbeknownst to him, it worked, but he never got to see me sweat. Um, so I guess that brings me to another point. You really need to get you some people, good people that you can trust and that can give you good advice, and they ain't gonna have you out here crashing out, because you don't want to be a crash out in court. So you definitely want to, again, I keep talking about grace, just showing up with grace. Um, and the last thing that I want to leave you with for this moment, just to a message to any mom that's in the middle of a storm. I just want to say to you that you're not crazy. You're not weak, and you're just trying to raise your babies with some dignity. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. You're doing nothing wrong. Um, if today feels like too much, I hope you remember that your boundaries are not just for that other person, but it's also, for you, for your kids, for your sanity, for your peace, and that you are absolutely not alone in this. So here's the update. After I recorded the first part, I got a message saying that the visit actually was canceled. And you know what the hardest part is? I was literally sitting at the hair salon with both of my kids, getting them ready to see him. You try to keep things normal to keep hope alive for them, and then boom, another disappointment. That's why I talk so much about grace and boundaries. Not because it's easy, but because I'd personally lose myself if I didn't. If you've ever held it together for your kids while falling apart on the inside, I just want you to know that I see you. Follow me if you're walking in that path too, because you are definitely not alone.